Hello, I'm Philip Mugglestone, and in this series of videos we're covering the R integration for SAP HANA. In this video we're going to see how we can make sure that the R serve or R environment is always up and running and available for HANA, because we saw in a previous video how to install and configure R and the R serve package of R. However, that environment will only be up and running whilst your Linux server is running. If you were to restart Linux, then you would need to restart the R environment, which could be a bit of a pain to do by hand. So what we'll see in this video is how you can automate that process using cron. So the first thing we'll do is we'll log in. We're currently the root user on our R server. We're going to log in as the R user. So we're going to do a super user to the R user. Now you may recall the command that we use to start the R server. It's this R command, and we specify the port number in particular and some other options. So we could do that now just to start the R server. So it's R server is up and running. Now in order to automate that, we need to put something similar to that into a cron tab file so that the cron daemon can actually go ahead and run that for us, for example on system reboot. Now one thing we'll need to know when we're doing that is our server actually running already? Is our server already running? And to do that, it's actually very easy. We can just do a pgrep and look for our serve. You may want to be more specific in that search. That's maybe a little generic, but it'll work for our example here. We can see that, yep, our server is up and running, and the 10178 is the process number. So in fact, we can also stop the R server again by using the process kill, the pkill for R serve. It will find that process, and the process will now be stopped. Now if we try and do the search with the grep, the pgrep, we'll see that nothing is found because we've now stopped the R server. So that's something that will be useful in a moment when we come to set up our cron job. So how do we go about making the cron job? Well, we need to create a shell script that will actually start the server. And for that, we can actually put it wherever we want. But what we're going to do, I'm going to put it in the home directory of our user because we're using our user. We'll call it rstart.sh for a shell script. But you can give it any name you want. And then I'm going to hopefully quickly just paste in some example code here. There we can see we've got two lines. What we've got on the first line is just to change the directory to where R was installed. We saw that yesterday. Normally it's in user local bin. And then what we're going to do is we're going to issue a pgrep command, which is what we were just seeing. This time a little bit more specific. So specific to our user, so something that was running through our user, and our serve are actually on the port that we're using. And if an ID is found saying that the server's up and running, then we'll do nothing. But if no ID was found, so the R server is not running, then what we can do is we can call R. Here we use /R and then call R with exactly the same options we saw before. So this shell script will basically check to see if R is running, and if it's not running, it will start it, or R serve. So let's now save that. So we've created our rstart shell script file. And the next thing we need to do is to make a call to that, and for that we use cron tab. So we can use cron tab, and in edit mode we're logged on as our user, so it's the right user. And what we need to do is simply add a reference to call that file, and it's up to us to specify how we want that to be done. For example, we may be doing that at reboot. Or we could say it could be done hourly or whatever you want, and then home, and then we called it rstart.shell script. That's case sensitive, but basically this will cause that shell script to be run on a scheduled basis by cron. For example, in this case will be at system reboot, or in some cases you may want to set that it just checks maybe hourly, so you can easily set it up to run hourly as well. So having done that, we need to save the file. Okay, and now we can see that there was no cron tab for this user, so he set up a new one. In fact, if we do cron tab with the L option, it will list us all the cron tab things that are set up for that user. So we can see that reboot, it's going to run that shell script. So now when we restart the Linux server, it's going to automatically look and check to see whether or not RServe is running, and if not, it's going to start it. So hopefully that will work very nicely for us. There's one further thing that you may need to do, and that's to actually allow the shell script that we created to be executed. And to do that, you can do a change mod, chmod add +x to allow execution, and then the name of the shell script that we created to start the RServe, which we called rstart. So we can apply that, and then we should be up and running, and everything should be going fine. So that's how to use cron and cron tab to set up automatic starting of RServe.